Chasing is often mistaken for passion, urgency, or desire, but at its core, it is rarely rooted in genuine attraction or longing. True desire arises effortlessly. It does not need to force, plead, or convince. When a woman finds herself chasing someone, it is almost always a reflection of something internal, a subtle, sometimes unacknowledged sense of lack within herself. It is not the man she's pursuing that drives this behavior, but a quiet insecurity that whispers she is not enough unless validated by another. This need, often masked as love or interest, is actually a call for completion from an external source, a way of attempting to fill a gap that exists within her own heart. Genuine desire is expansive, confident, and free. It moves with ease. Chasing, by contrast, is anxious, grasping, and ultimately self-depleting because it comes from a place of scarcity rather than abundance. The energy of chasing is visible, palpable, and undeniable. It manifests in texts sent too frequently, calls made in moments of doubt, or subtle attempts to impress. Each gesture, no matter how small, carries the weight of, "Please notice me, please choose me, please stay with me," a quiet admission that self-worth has been outsourced to another. High-value women understand that their value is inherent, not conditional upon the attention or approval of someone else. They operate from a state of fullness where their presence is complete and their sense of self is uncompromised. When desire is rooted in authenticity, it is an offering, not a demand. Chasing in any form distorts this truth. It transforms what should be a joyful, magnetic expression of interest into a desperate performance, one that drives energy outward in an unbalanced, consuming way. Inner lack is often subtle, hidden behind smiles, sophistication, and charm. It can be masked by confidence or achievement, but it lingers beneath the surface, influencing choices and behaviors without conscious recognition. A woman may chase without fully realizing that the pursuit is not about the person she wants, but about soothing her own fierce fear of abandonment, fear of being unseen, fear of not being wanted. This fear is a mirror of incompleteness, and chasing is the act of attempting to fill that mirror with someone else's reflection. High-value women, on the other hand, confront this lack directly. They engage in deep self-reflection, understanding that no person can complete them, and that true connection arises from two whole beings choosing each other freely. From this grounded sense of wholeness, they never need to chase. They move through the world with a quiet, magnetic presence that naturally draws others toward them. The paradox of attraction is that the harder one chases, the further the other is pushed. This is not a trick of the mind or a game to be mastered. It is a fundamental law of energy. Neediness repels while self-possession attracts. When desire is genuine and rooted in confidence, it has a gravity that does not require force. When it comes from lack, it creates tension, discomfort, and ultimately drives connection into imbalance. High-value women learn to recognize this dynamic intuitively. They observe their own impulses to chase, pause, and question their motivations. They ask themselves, am I pursuing because I desire him or because I fear losing him? Am I reaching out to share my joy or to confirm my worth? These moments of self-awareness are critical, for they allow desire to remain pure, expansive, and compelling rather than anxious, grasping, and ultimately draining. Chasing also undermines the foundation of respect, both self-respect and the respect others have for her. When a woman chases, she signals that her happiness and security are contingent on someone else's choices. This subtly communicates dependency and lowers perceived value. High-value women understand that respect is cultivated through presence, not pursuit. They embody steadiness, showing that they are complete in themselves, and that any connection with another person is a meeting of equals, not a rescue mission. In essence, chasing diminishes the magnetic power of desire by trading authentic expression for anxious effort. The woman who truly knows her worth does not need to chase. She knows that the right person will recognize her value naturally, without coercion or convincing. The shift from chasing to presence is not instantaneous, nor is it always comfortable. It requires courage to confront the inner lack that drives impulsive pursuit. It demands patience to allow space for attraction to unfold organically. It necessitates trust in one's own value, in the understanding that love and attention are not rewards to be earned through effort, but natural consequences of being fully oneself. As a woman cultivates this inner abundance, she begins to see the difference between chasing out of fear and engaging out of authentic desire. She notices the subtle tension that arises when she attempts to fill an inner emptiness through external validation. She learns to step back, to breathe, to align her energy with wholeness, and to move from a place of magnetic freedom rather than grasping need. This transformation also deepens emotional intelligence and awareness. She becomes attuned to the subtle cues of attraction, recognizing when interest is mutual and when it is forced. She understands that a man who is genuinely drawn to her will naturally seek connection and investment without needing to be coerced. She values the quality of interaction over the quantity of attention. Chasing in this light becomes not a strategy, but a symptom, an indication that the desire she feels is entangled with an unmet need rather than pure expression. Releasing the urge to chase allows her to reclaim her energy, to cultivate serenity, and to create space for relationships that are based on respect, reciprocity, and genuine longing. Presence over pursuit is the subtle art of existing fully in oneself while allowing life and relationships to unfold without force. It is a principle that high-value women embody intuitively, often without realizing the profound effect it has on those around them. Presence is not merely physical, it is emotional, mental, and energetic. It is the quiet confidence that radiates from a woman who is comfortable in her own skin, who does not seek to control outcomes or bend reality to her will. Pursuit, by contrast, is the outward expression of need, a frantic reaching towards someone or something in the hope of obtaining validation, attention, or reassurance. While pursuit seeks to pull, presence invites, and in that difference lies the core of attraction and connection. When a woman chooses presence over pursuit, she cultivates an energy that is steady, grounded, and magnetic. This is not a performance or a calculated strategy, it is a reflection of inner alignment. She moves through her day with awareness, enjoying the world around her, tending to her passions and honoring her own rhythm. She is not preoccupied with monitoring his responses or manipulating situations to secure attention. Instead, she trusts that her worth is inherent and that meaningful connection will come not through force, but through natural alignment of energies. Presence communicates strength because it requires restraint, patience, and clarity of self. Pursuit, no matter how well-intentioned, often conveys desperation because it seeks fulfillment externally rather than internally. Presence over pursuit also shifts the dynamic of relationships in profound ways. When a woman is present, she allows space for mutual engagement. She engages from curiosity, interest, and genuine desire rather than obligation or fear. She listens fully when others speak, observes without judgment, and responds thoughtfully. In contrast, pursuit often leads to over-communication, over-explanation, or excessive effort to influence outcomes. The energy of chasing can overwhelm and dilute attraction because it prioritizes quantity over quality. Presence, on the other hand, creates a natural rhythm in interaction, allowing moments to breathe, connections to deepen, and interest to develop organically. It transforms relationships from transactional exchanges into meaningful experiences of connection. A woman who practices presence also cultivates a sense of emotional independence. She recognizes that her happiness and fulfillment are not contingent upon external approval. This independence is not cold detachment, rather, it is the freedom to engage without losing oneself in the process. Presence allows her to participate fully in life, in love, and in relationships while maintaining her boundaries and her energy. Pursuit often compromises this independence because it creates subtle dependency, a silent tether to someone else's attention. Presence, by contrast, liberates both parties, allowing them to meet willingly, to invest freely, and to appreciate each other's authenticity. This freedom is magnetic because it signals integrity and self-respect, qualities that are inherently attractive and deeply compelling. The essence of presence also lies in timing and restraint. High-value women understand that attraction is amplified when it is allowed to unfold at its own pace. They recognize the natural ebb and flow of energy between people and refuse to force connection or push for affirmation. By standing in her presence, a woman signals confidence, patience, and wisdom. Pursuit, on the other hand, often seeks to accelerate outcomes, to extract commitment or attention prematurely, which can create resistance or discomfort. Presence communicates calm authority. It says, without words, that she is complete, that she values herself, and that connection is a shared choice rather than a desperate need. Another aspect of presence over pursuit is the cultivation of internal richness. When a woman is present, she invests in herself, her passions, her growth, her well-being. She does not measure her value by the attention she receives, nor does she define her worth by someone else's choices. Pursuit often arises from a lack of this internal cultivation. It is an attempt to borrow significance from another rather than generate it from within. Presence, by contrast, emanates from fulfillment and authenticity. It creates a magnetic pull because it embodies completeness, vibrancy, and self-possession. The more a woman invests in her own presence, the more naturally she attracts what aligns with her energy rather than what temporarily fills a void. Presence over pursuit also enhances clarity in relationships. When a woman is fully present, she observes patterns, notices intentions, and discerns compatibility with greater precision. She does not get lost in anxiety, speculation, or imagined outcomes. Pursuit, in contrast, clouds perception because it is fueled by urgency and need. It compels a woman to focus on how to influence or secure someone else, rather than understanding what truly resonates with her values and desires. By prioritizing presence, she creates a foundation of clarity, authenticity, and alignment, allowing her to engage with people and experiences that genuinely matter, while naturally letting go of those that do not. This approach does not require manipulation, effort, or performance. It relies on the quiet power of being fully oneself. The energy of presence also transforms the way others perceive and respond to a woman. People are drawn to calm, steady energy because it signals security, authenticity, and reliability. Pursuit, in contrast, often communicates imbalance, anxiety, and an unspoken plea for attention. High-value women understand that they do not need to manufacture attraction or prove their worth. They allow their presence to speak louder than words, gestures, or efforts to chase. This creates a magnetic resonance that attracts interest, deepens connection, and fosters respect. It is a principle that transcends superficial techniques. It is an energetic alignment that communicates confidence, self-respect, and authentic desire. Respect is not given automatically. It is cultivated, nurtured, and reflected through the energy we carry and the standards we uphold. For high-value women, boundaries are the foundation of self, respect, and the lens through which others learn to honor them. Boundaries are not rigid walls designed to keep people out, nor are they tools for control or manipulation. They are declarations of self-worth, signals that communicate what is acceptable, what is cherished, and what is non-negotiable. A woman who clearly embodies her boundaries demonstrates to the world that she values herself, that she understands her needs, and that she will not compromise her integrity to satisfy the expectations or whims of others. In essence, boundaries are not just protective, they are magnetic because they emanate strength, clarity, and authenticity. The act of setting boundaries is in itself a practice of self-respect. It requires honesty, courage, and emotional awareness. A high-value woman does not bend her principles or soften her standards out of fear of rejection or desire for approval. She understands that every boundary communicated is an invitation for others to engage with her authentically or to step away. In doing so, she preserves the quality of her energy and cultivates relationships that are rooted in mutual respect. When a woman chases or compromises her boundaries to appease someone else, she signals that her value is contingent on their acceptance, which diminishes attraction and undermines her own sense of self. Boundaries, therefore, are not obstacles. They are the very structure through which respect is earned and sustained. Boundaries also teach others how to interact with a woman, not through coercion, but through clarity. When expectations are communicated clearly, relationships operate on mutual understanding rather than negotiation or confusion. People naturally gravitate toward individuals who are steady, consistent, and self-assured because such presence creates safety and trust. A woman who sets boundaries demonstrates that she has a firm grasp of her priorities, desires, and limitations, which in turn commands attention and care from those around her. In contrast, a lack of boundaries often leads to blurred lines, where needs and values are sacrificed and respect is eroded. High-value women know that respect cannot exist where boundaries are absent because it is difficult for others to appreciate or honor something that is undefined or unprotected. The energy behind boundaries is as important as the boundaries themselves. Setting limits is not about pushing people away or asserting superiority. It is about embodying self-worth and communicating it through actions and presence. For instance, saying no when something does not align with one's values is a demonstration of integrity. Walking away from situations or people that drain energy is a practice of self-preservation. Remaining calm and grounded when confronted with pressure to compromise is an act of quiet authority. Each of these expressions is a lesson in respect. They show that a woman values herself enough to protect her space, her time, and her energy. Others, in turn, instinctively adjust their behavior, consciously or unconsciously, to honor the boundaries she has set. Boundaries also deepen the quality of emotional connection. When a woman refuses to chase or compromise her standards, she creates a space where interactions are authentic and meaningful. People are more likely to invest emotionally and energetically when they feel that engagement is voluntary, mutually desired, and grounded in integrity. Pursuit born from disregard for boundaries often creates attachment based on obligation or manipulation, which is shallow and fleeting. High-value women, by contrast, allow relationships to flourish in the soil of mutual respect. They know that the true measure of connection is not how much effort is expended to gain attention, but how naturally care, affection, and appreciation flow when boundaries are honored. Moreover, boundaries cultivate a profound sense of self-mastery. A woman who knows when to speak, when to step back, and when to release attachment to outcomes demonstrates emotional intelligence and inner strength. She is not swayed by external pressures or transient desires. This mastery communicates to the world that she is a force of alignment, not desperation. Those around her learn that respect is not something to be begged for or coerced. It is a natural consequence of interacting with someone who values themselves and stands firm in their truth. Boundaries, therefore, are both armor and magnet. They protect her energy while simultaneously attracting those who can meet her on the same level of awareness and integrity. High-value women also recognize that boundaries are living, dynamic expressions of self-respect. They are not static rules or rigid frameworks. They evolve as a woman grows, learns, and deepens her understanding of herself. Each boundary reflects a chapter of personal discovery, a commitment to honoring emotional, physical, and mental well-being. As boundaries are communicated and reinforced, respect is cultivated not only from others but internally as well. The woman who maintains her boundaries experiences a quiet confidence, a sense of alignment, and an unshakable understanding that her value is inherent, not negotiable. This internal clarity radiates outward, creating a resonance that cannot be faked or manufactured, and which others instinctively recognize and respond to. The subtle power of boundaries lies in their ability to shape interactions without overt assertion or effort. By maintaining clear limits, a woman fosters respect through the consistency of her energy and the integrity of her choices. She does not need to chase approval, argue for attention, or negotiate her worth, because her boundaries communicate these truths silently yet powerfully. Those who cannot meet her standards naturally step back, while those who are aligned are drawn in with sincerity and reverence. In this way, boundaries serve as both compass and filter, guiding connections toward depth, authenticity, and lasting resonance. Attraction is not a force to be coerced or manufactured. It is an energy that flows naturally when space is respected and freedom is honored. Many women mistakenly believe that closeness, constant attention, or relentless pursuit strengthens connection. But true attraction thrives in the presence of distance, breathing room, and emotional autonomy. Space is not absence, it is a dynamic environment in which desire, curiosity, and longing can grow. When a high-value woman understands that attraction requires space, she cultivates relationships that are magnetic, enduring, and emotionally resonant. She knows that by allowing others to exist fully, she amplifies her own allure, drawing people toward her not through effort or persuasion, but through the natural power of presence balanced with distance. Space, in the context of attraction, operates on multiple levels. It is physical, allowing individuals to maintain their own routines, interests, and live without constant intrusion or dependency. It is emotional, offering the other person freedom to feel, process, and express without pressure or judgment. It is energetic, creating a balance between engagement and withdrawal, action and pause, closeness and independence. High-value women intuitively understand that when these forms of space are respected, desire is not diminished, it is intensified. The human mind and heart respond to the unknown, the ungraspable, and the moments that allow longing to surface naturally. In contrast, when space is ignored through chasing, over-communication, or clinginess, attraction diminishes because the energy becomes constrictive rather than expansive. Desire cannot breathe in a cage, it thrives in freedom. The principle of space also teaches the importance of self-possession. A woman who is fully engaged in her own life passions and growth is never defined solely by her relationships. She cultivates internal fulfillment, which radiates outward, creating a magnetic presence that others cannot manufacture. When she steps back, allowing a man to engage with her on his own terms, she demonstrates trust, confidence, and wisdom. This restraint communicates a quiet authority, that she values herself enough to honor both her own energy and the other's autonomy. Pursuit, in contrast, communicates neediness, subtle desperation, and an attempt to compress the natural rhythm of attraction into a forced dynamic. By giving space, a woman aligns herself with the energetic principles of natural magnetism rather than the frantic measures of compulsion. Space is also essential for emotional investment. When a man is given room to seek, to think, and to experience longing, his attention becomes more deliberate, conscious, and meaningful. A woman who crowds or chases inadvertently short-circuits this process, creating attachment rooted in habit or convenience rather than genuine desire. The heart requires breathing room to expand, to feel anticipation, and to experience the nuances of choice. High-value women recognize that love, interest, and commitment flourish not through constant availability, but through selective engagement that honors both parties' independence. The moments of absence, of breathing room, allow emotions to deepen and attraction to mature, creating a connection that is more resilient and heartfelt. Respecting space also strengthens boundaries and self-respect. When a woman allows distance, she affirms her own priorities, values, and sense of self. She does not compromise her energy to fill another's expectations or to chase temporary validation. Space, therefore, becomes both protective and generative. It safeguards her emotional equilibrium while simultaneously cultivating the conditions in which attraction can naturally evolve. Men respond to this clarity and composure because it signals integrity, wisdom, and authenticity. Space is not withdrawal in fear, it is the expression of alignment, patience, and awareness of the subtle rhythms of human connection. It communicates that a woman is complete within herself and that any engagement with her is a choice, a mutual investment, rather than a desperate grasp for attention. The interplay between presence and space is delicate yet essential. High-value women understand that it is not a matter of detachment or indifference, it is about balance. She remains engaged, aware, and responsive, but she does so without sacrificing her own energy or compressing the natural flow of attraction. The dynamic tension between closeness and distance creates intrigue, anticipation, and desire. It allows the mind to imagine, the heart to long, and the soul to recognize alignment without coercion. Chasing, by contrast, collapses this tension into immediacy, leaving little room for authentic curiosity or emotional investment to grow. The spaces between interactions become the very fabric through which attraction deepens, allowing desire to be chosen rather than demanded. Space also nurtures emotional maturity. A woman who understands the value of space does not cling to outcomes, manipulate attention, or insist on control. She is patient, trusting, and observant, allowing relationships to unfold naturally over time. This maturity communicates a profound sense of self-possession and awareness, qualities that are inherently magnetic. By resisting the urge to chase, she reinforces her value and demonstrates that connection is based on genuine alignment, not on anxiety or compulsion. In doing so, she models a higher standard of relational engagement, one in which both parties are free to express themselves fully, invest consciously, and experience attraction that is both authentic and enduring. The principle of attraction requiring space also extends to internal reflection. When a woman steps back, she gains clarity about her feelings, intentions, and desires. She observes the energy she receives and the authenticity of connection without the distortion of anxiety-driven pursuit. This reflection enhances self-awareness, allowing her to respond rather than react, to invest rather than grasp, and to cultivate relationships that truly resonate with her essence. Space, therefore, is both external and internal. It preserves energy, nurtures desire, and fosters wisdom. It is the environment in which attraction can flourish naturally, organically, and deeply, creating connections that are magnetic, respectful, and emotionally fulfilling. Energy is the language of connection that speaks far louder than words ever could. While conversation, text messages, and gestures have their place, the underlying flow of energy communicates a truth that words often obscure. High-value women understand intuitively that energy carries intention, emotion, and presence in a way that words alone cannot convey. One can speak beautifully, make promises, or craft clever messages, yet if the energy behind those words is anxious, desperate, or inconsistent, the impact is diminished or even repelling. Attraction, trust, and connection are born not solely from the narratives we construct, but from the resonance of the energy we project and sustain over time. Words may inform, but energy transforms. The way energy flows is inherently tied to presence, awareness, and emotional alignment. When a woman is centered, calm, and fully engaged in her own being, her energy communicates confidence, steadiness, and authenticity. This does not require explanation or persuasion. It simply exists as a magnetic field that draws attention naturally. Conversely, when energy is fractured by chasing fear or inner lack, no words can compensate. The subtle cues, the tension in tone, the urgency in delivery, the inconsistency of intention broadcast more clearly than language ever could that the connection is rooted in need rather than choice. High-value women cultivate their energy intentionally, recognizing that the alignment of their internal state with their external expression is what sustains attraction and influence. Energy flow is also about timing and rhythm. Communication, gestures, and actions are most effective when they are aligned with the natural currents of interaction rather than imposed upon them. High-value women understand the subtle rhythms of human connection, when to engage, when to pause, when to create space, and when to allow anticipation to build. Words alone, without this alignment, risk falling flat or creating dissonance. Energy flows like a river. It cannot be forced into unnatural channels without creating turbulence. When a woman respects and honors the natural movement of energy, she fosters connections that are not only emotionally compelling but also enduring and resilient. Pursuit or over-communication disrupts this flow, creating friction and resistance, whereas attuned energy invites harmony and resonance. Another essential aspect of energy flow is emotional authenticity. A high-value woman communicates through energy not by masking, performing, or attempting to control outcomes, but by aligning her internal state with her outer expression. She recognizes that attraction is amplified when her presence is consistent, composed, and sincere. Anxiety, neediness, or attempts to manipulate create subtle energetic vibrations that others unconsciously detect, undermining influence and diminishing attraction. By cultivating emotional stability and awareness, she ensures that the energy she projects is a truthful reflection of her inner self, which is far more compelling than any carefully chosen phrase or rhetorical device. This alignment allows others to engage with her freely without the distortions introduced by fear, doubt, or desperate effort. Energy flow also encompasses the subtle dynamics of push and pull, engagement and withdrawal, closeness and distance. High-value women understand that attraction is not created by constant verbal reinforcement, but by the careful modulation of presence and energy. Moments of engagement that are authentic and deliberate contrast with pauses that allow longing and curiosity to surface naturally. In these intervals, energy communicates more than words ever could. It signals autonomy, emotional maturity, and intentionality. Pursuit, in contrast, overwhelms the flow, leaving no room for resonance to develop. It compresses the natural rhythm, substituting urgency for magnetism, and replacing subtle influence with overt effort. By attending to energy rather than mere words, a woman cultivates influence that feels effortless, compelling, and deeply magnetic. Energy is also the medium through which respect and boundaries are perceived. When a woman maintains calm, grounded energy, she communicates her limits, her priorities, and her self-worth without having to articulate them repeatedly. Others pick up on these energetic cues intuitively, adjusting their behavior to align with her standards. Words can attempt to enforce boundaries, but energy embodies them. A single unaligned message sent in a state of anxiety or need can undo weeks of quiet consistency. Conversely, energy that is steady, intentional, and aligned naturally sets the standard, guiding others toward respectful engagement without coercion or insistence. The subtle power of energy flow also lies in its capacity to create emotional resonance. People are drawn not just to what is said, but to how it feels to be in the presence of someone whose energy is grounded, coherent, and magnetic. High-value women cultivate this resonance through practices that enhance self-awareness, emotional regulation, and alignment with their deeper values and desires. Energy communicates abundance, confidence, patience, and clarity, qualities that are universally attractive because they signal that connection with her is a meeting of equals rather than a rescue operation or a transaction. Words may provide information, but energy creates longing, curiosity, and investment on a far deeper, subconscious level. Finally, energy flow is a reflection of self-mastery. A woman who understands this principle observes her impulses, regulates her reactions, and intentionally directs her energy toward alignment rather than anxiety-driven behavior. She communicates desire without desperation, engagement without compulsion, and presence without neediness. This conscious management of energy allows her to maintain influence and attraction naturally, effortlessly, and authentically. Pursuit, on the other hand, is reactive. It bends energy to external circumstances, creating tension and diminishing natural resonance. High-value women know that the quality of connection is always a reflection of the quality of energy they project, and by tending to this flow, they ensure that attraction, respect, and emotional engagement emerge spontaneously and profoundly. Patience is often misunderstood as passivity, as waiting idly or surrendering control, but true patience is an active, deliberate expression of inner strength and clarity. It is the quiet power that allows a high-value woman to navigate relationships, life, and personal growth without succumbing to urgency, fear, or compulsion. Patience is rooted in trust, not blind trust in others, but trust in oneself, in the natural rhythm of events, and in the alignment of energies that govern connection and attraction. High-value women understand that rushing, chasing, or forcing outcomes rarely creates the depth or resonance they seek. Instead, patience allows moments, interactions, and opportunities to unfold with authenticity, letting desire, respect, and emotional investment emerge organically. The power of patience lies in its ability to create spaciousness. When a woman is patient, she allows herself and others the time to reflect, respond, and engage authentically. She does not impose her will or accelerate processes out of fear of loss or desire for control. This spaciousness communicates confidence because it demonstrates that she is not dependent on immediate validation or outcomes. Others sense this calm authority. They recognize that patience is not weakness, but a profound understanding of the natural rhythm of life and relationships. It is an energy that invites engagement rather than demanding it, and it fosters connection rooted in choice, respect, and genuine investment. High-value women harness this power intuitively, allowing the flow of events to align with timing that serves the deepest expression of their intentions. Patience also cultivates emotional resilience. A woman who waits with presence, awareness, and clarity does not allow uncertainty to destabilize her energy. She recognizes that the unfolding of relationships and opportunities is not always immediate, and that true attraction and alignment cannot be forced. By embracing patience, she protects herself from the anxiety, overreach, and grasping that chase and compulsion create. Her calm composure communicates to others that she is self-possessed, emotionally intelligent, and unwavering in her understanding of value. The energy of patience is magnetic because it signals that she operates from abundance, not scarcity, and that her choices, attention, and engagement are guided by discernment rather than desperation. The principle of patience also reinforces boundaries and self-respect. A patient woman is willing to let go of situations or people that do not align with her standards, knowing that forcing connection erodes attraction and diminishes her sense of self. She does not negotiate her worth for temporary attention, nor does she chase fleeting validation. Instead, she allows relationships to evolve naturally, giving space for others to invest consciously and authentically. This restraint communicates strength because it demonstrates that her energy is intentional and her presence is not to be taken lightly. Those who are drawn to her are compelled to engage with integrity, while those who cannot meet her standards naturally step aside, leaving only alignment and resonance behind. Patience also deepens understanding and clarity. In the absence of rush or compulsion, a woman has the opportunity to observe, reflect, and respond rather than react. She notices patterns, discerns intentions, and gauges alignment with precision. This observational patience allows her to make decisions that honor her values and her energy, rather than being swept into choices driven by fear, need, or urgency. High-value women understand that emotional, relational, and even professional investments require discernment and time to mature. They do not rush signals, interactions, or commitments because they know that authenticity and alignment cannot be manufactured. They emerge naturally when both parties are fully present, free, and willing. Another dimension of patience is the cultivation of anticipation and longing. When a woman does not chase over, communicate, or force engagement, she creates space for desire and interest to flourish. The mind and heart of others are given room to reflect, to feel curiosity, and to invest attention freely. This absence, far from weakening attraction, actually strengthens it because it allows emotional tension and longing to emerge organically. Patience, therefore, is not about inaction. It is about intentional restraint, the conscious decision to allow natural processes to unfold while maintaining alignment with one's values and energy. High-value women understand that attraction is not generated by compulsion, but by the quality of presence and the measured pace of engagement. Patience is also a reflection of inner alignment and self-mastery. A woman who embodies patience has cultivated trust in her intuition, clarity in her values, and confidence in her worth. She does not need to chase attention, accelerate outcomes, or manipulate circumstances because she knows that the right opportunities and connections will align with her energy in their own time. This alignment communicates to the world a quiet authority that is compelling, magnetic, and deeply respected. Those around her unconsciously recognize the power of this restraint, responding with sincerity, investment, and conscious effort rather than reactive or superficial attention. Patience becomes a form of influence because it signals maturity, awareness, and self-possession, qualities that are inherently attractive and commanding. The discipline of patience also strengthens emotional intelligence and awareness. It teaches a woman to observe without attachment, to respond without compulsion, and to invest without neediness. She learns to differentiate between desire and scarcity, between authentic alignment and transient convenience. By cultivating patience, she enhances her capacity for discernment, empathy, and deep connection. She understands that meaningful relationships, genuine attraction, and authentic investment require time to unfold, and that forcing any of these processes disrupts the natural flow of energy. In embracing patience, she demonstrates that her energy is intentional, her engagement is deliberate, and her presence is not something to be taken for granted. Finally, patience is a quiet but profound form of power. It allows a woman to navigate life, relationships, and connection with clarity, dignity, and emotional sovereignty. She does not succumb to the impulses of need, fear, or urgency. Instead, she moves with purpose, awareness, and alignment, trusting that the energy she projects, the boundaries she maintains, and the authenticity she embodies will naturally attract what is meant for her. Through patience, she transforms waiting into presence, hesitation into clarity, and restraint into magnetism. Her energy communicates strength, confidence, and discernment, allowing others to engage with her not out of obligation, manipulation, or fear, but out of genuine desire and conscious choice.